Welcome back to the Top Shelf Literary Editions. This is episode 82. Thank you for joining me. My name is Ernest Weidman III. I'm a Northern Rap filmmaker, artist, writer, and media educator. I'm going to take a look at the top shelf of my book collection today. I have a pre-selected book. I'll give you a short synopsis, a review if I've read it, and a reason why I purchased or received the edition. And today's book is Moviemaker's Masterclass, private lessons from the world's foremost directors, and this is put together by Laurent Tirard, and it has essays written by such greats as Pedro Almodovar, Bernardo Bertolucci, Tim Burton, John Boorman, Joel and Ethan Coen, David Cronenberg, Jean-Luc Godard, Jean-Pierre Jeunet, Takeshi Kitano, Emir Kusturica, David Lynch, Sidney Pollack, Claude Sautet, Martin Scorsese, Oliver Stone, Lars von Trier, Wim Wenders, Wong Kar-wai, and John Woo. And I received this as a present, I believe, from my partner. When she learned that, first learned that I was a filmmaker, and this is sort of a gift I got from them. And it's filled with all these really cool essays that talk about exploring the idea of filmmaking and giving you advice and how to develop themes and concepts and things like that. And it has many of my favorite filmmakers in it. Wim Wenders, Wong Kar-wai, John Woo, Jean-Luc Godard. So another book that sort of influenced my filmmaking. And I appreciate this, and I thought if it's still out there, I think filmmakers should get it and read it. And I'm going to read something from, this time I mark the page, from Wim Wenders. I think that there are two particular ways of learning to make films. First, of course, is to make them. Natch. The second one is to write reviews. So all those guys and ladies and gentlemen out there, and people in between, writing and critiquing film that, you know, they get bashed for. They are actually doing and making films in their own right by making video critiques as such. And I don't know when we got on this track of bashing critics because they hated Batman versus Superman. Well, that's when we got on this kick of bashing critics. Critics are supposed to are supposed to be that. They're supposed to be critical. They're supposed to tell you the good things and the bad things about film, and that's supposed to be helpful to a society that's open to it. But because somebody you'll never meet didn't like the movie you liked, you got to bash them is in a term ridiculous. But he does give advice to young directors. I have a feeling that the young directors are above all aiming to accomplish something new. They feel that they must impress audiences with the novelty of their work. And at times, a visual gag can be a sufficient reason to make a film, which I think is very important. However, I believe, above all, the director's duty is to have something to say. He or she needs a story to tell. And I cannot tell you how many times, this is why I struggle with a lot of my filmmaking, is that I'm trying to not only have something to say, but also have a story to tell. And it's cool that Native Americans can come up with these really cool concepts of stuff. Cool movies. But when all you're hinging on is a plot and not a story, what if it's Night of the Living Dead but with natives? What if it's Poltergeist but with natives, which was Poltergeist 2 if you think about it? What if it was Goodfellas but with natives? Or what if it was Superman but with natives? You know, you're hinging things on a plot but not a story. And I think that's a commonality to all filmmaking, not just Native American filmmakers. So develop a story, and don't just think of a series of gags, as Wim Wenders puts it, which might be enough to hang a film on, a concept. But I'm really good at coming up with concepts. But the difficulty is telling a story that has meaning attached to that concept. That's what's taken me so long to write the scripts that I write, and to produce the films I produce, is that I'm trying to tell a story. And storytelling comes easy to everybody. But when you try to translate it into a physical or a visual medium, there's the sense of loss when it comes to when you create a really good story, but then you visualize it. There's a sense of loss and the disconnect from, because now your ideal, your dream, the thing that you could always rebuild and build and take apart and recontextualize, is put into something solid. It's concrete and unchanging, and people will critique that for better or worse, and some people will ignore it for better or worse. But that's why people jump on the George Lucases of the world when they keep tinkering with their films, because though they have the right to do it, people feel like, yeah, but it's out now, it's concrete. But there's that sense of giving up on the film. That's what filmmaking is. It's like giving up on your concept, rather than trying to build it to the best that it can be. Your story, trying to make it as best the story you can with the means you have. And all that I learned from this, and from Robert Rodriguez, and from the Orson Welles book, and from all these other outside forces that sort of enumerated me, or not enumerated me, that made me a list, right? That sort of inured me is the word I was looking for. With this ideology, books like Indians in Unexpected Places and Invisible Natives have just brought my attention to representation, and how representation is affected by the story you tell, and how we got to really, at the core of it, there is a story that you have to tell. So that's what I learned from this. Have a story, don't have a concept, don't string a bunch of series of scenes, because I've seen too many filmmakers do that. So that's Moviemaker's Masterclass, Private Lessons from the World's Foremost Directors by Laurent Tirard. And that's on the top shelf today, and apologies for the rant. And I will catch you next time.